I think people have started to say, well, where do those minutes go? And I think that's kind of the next layer of this conversation. Is it Jaden Hardaway, who you and I are both fans of?
Yeah.
You know, he's not necessarily flashy or anything
himself.
like that, but he's a solid basketball player. He doesn't really make too many mistakes, and I think he kind of brings a little bit of calm over that second unit or whenever he rotates in. Not the upside of TFAL, but you know, it's not a downside. It's not a negative having him in.
Shoots a three, plays D.
Right.
Cool.
It's fine.
That's all you need.
Or, and this is probably the more intriguing option to fans, a guy like J.J. Taylor or Carl Sharon fan, one of these freshmen step up. But it's hard for me to see a freshman getting a lot of minutes on this team.
You got to project. It's hard to project that.
Yeah.
And like, you have to understand a lot on the defensive end and have a high IQ coming out of the gate if you're going to be a true freshman that starts for Penny Hardaway. And I mean, I don't know how that's going to work. J.J. Taylor is so intriguing to me. I know that he was a #1 recruit at one point, and he ended like just inside the top 100. He was like 86, and in some places he was outside of the top 100. Right. So people think like, oh, well, damn, what does that mean for him? He's an incredibly talented basketball player. It's just about, as a young player, getting your mind where it needs to be, going that extra mile to push yourself over the top to be the best player you can be. I think that's the issue we have with him right now.
Yeah.
But, man, he's 6'8", 200 pounds. He's got a good stroke. He can shoot three. He can shoot a three ball. He can get off the bounce. He has some defensive upside if he wants to get to that. He can leap. He can get to the rim. Like, there's a lot of things about his game that you like. It's just about growing up and maturing as a person and wanting to work to get to the peak of your ability. And I don't know if he's there yet.
Yeah. Ashton Hardaway, another name that could be in the mix for that. A lot of the guys that they brought in are wing players. Those three, JJ, Carl, and Ashton, 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", somewhere around that size. So those are all options. But if I had to place my money, I'm going Jaden. Just because you know what you got there. He brings a veteran presence like pretty much everyone on this team does that we think is going to play extended minutes this year. And at the end of the day, like, I'm curious to see what Penny does with the rotation. Like, does he go deep again? Does he want to play 10 again? Or does he want to keep it at that rock steady like 8?
Last year, like he did for a lot of these seasons.
8, 9 guys.
I don't know, man. I'm curious how this is going to work because I think ideally, this is my thought, I would want Teafale Leonard on campus.
I mean, of course.
Ideally. But if that doesn't work out, like, you just sort of have to play with the rotation, see what you like, see what you don't. I could see JJ being sort of the Jonathan Lawson of this year, where it's like at the beginning,
you see flashes,
sparing minutes, and then you put him in and he gives you some flashes, and then by the time you get to conference play, he's starting to get more consistent minutes, and you feel more comfortable about putting him in the lineup.
Yeah.
But that's sort of where my mind would be. I don't know if you go into the season and immediately give him 15 minutes a game.
I don't
think that would, if Teafale Leonard's not on campus.
I think Jaden's too solid to do that. I think maybe and they don't have a lot of inferior out of conference opponents where they can throw some of these guys in. But maybe in those exhibition games early in the season or the couple of games they have against cupcake teams, maybe that's when we see a guy like JJ or Ashton or Carl a little bit more to see what they could potentially do in conference or in those tough out-of-conference games. But I just think with the level of schedule that Memphis has, it's almost too risky.
Yeah,
it's almost too risky to throw a freshman out there and say, okay, you're going to play with the second rotation tonight, 10 to 15 minutes, and then that end up being one of the main reasons of why you lose to one of these big teams like a Virginia or a Clemson or one of these pivotal out of conference games. It's a tough situation to be in, but at the end of the day, I think we're kind of in the same boat on this. I don't think it should take much, if any, steam away from this team. They're too talented, they're too experienced, they're too veteran laden. And if DeAndre ultimately gets eligible, I think a lot of people won't even talk about the Teafale Leonard.
No one will be worried.
Now, if Teafale Leonard goes somewhere else and is an all-conference player and has an incredible year and is like a late first-round pick or something, then people might feel salty about it. But I just don't think losing Teafale Leonard has nearly the impact of adding a player like DeAndre Williams. I know they don't necessarily play the same position, but just as far as overall value, what it does for a team, what it does for a ranking, I think it is a loss, but I don't think it's anything that should take steam away from what Penny and the staff have done.
He's the type of guy that you'd need for a couple games in conference when it gets rough and you need a defensive
in a gritty game.
But I mean, ultimately,
like you said, luxury. It's an absolute luxury.
It's a luxury, and you want to have that luxury. But if you don't have it, it's like, all right, I'll be all right.